In today's episode, we're looking at 5 influencers whose quest for viral content ended in tragedy, from a wilderness blogger in Montana's Grizzly territory to a travel photographer's final shot in South Africa. But first, we start at a wildlife sanctuary, where one TikToker's desperate attempt at fame turned deadly.
It was March 15, 2017, at the Ukutula Conservation Center in South Africa's Northwest Province. The 650-acre facility housed over 80 big cats, including a pride of 6 African lions in a specially designed breeding enclosure surrounded by double fencing and electric wire. Located near Brits, just 45 minutes from Hartbeespoort Dam, the center attracted thousands of international volunteers and tourists, annually seeking hands-on African wildlife experiences. Emily Cross, a 23-year-old social media influencer from Portland, Oregon, had arrived at Thornfield that morning as part of her month-long African adventure series. With only 3,000 TikTok followers, Emily desperately sought viral content to boost her struggling online presence. Her background as a former marketing assistant had taught her the importance of engagement metrics, but her transition to full-time content creation had proven financially challenging. Emily's personality combined dangerous risk-taking with an attention-seeking nature that consistently dismissed safety warnings. She had specifically chosen Thornfield for its reputation as a hands-on wildlife experience, believing close encounters with apex predators would finally give her the breakthrough content she needed. Her previous videos featured increasingly reckless stunts, from cliff jumping in Thailand to swimming with reef sharks in the Maldives. The sanctuary's afternoon feeding schedule created the perfect storm for Emily's fatal decision. At 3:30 p.m., while staff prepared the lions' daily meal of raw meat, Emily noticed the enclosure's maintenance gate had been left slightly ajar by a careless worker. The 3 adult lions inside, 2 females and 1 dominant male, were already agitated by the approaching feeding time, pacing restlessly near the fence line. The temperature had reached 95 degrees Fahrenheit, adding to the animal's irritability. African lions are apex predators weighing between 265 to 420 pounds, capable of reaching speeds up to 50 miles per hour in short bursts. Their powerful jaws generate a bite force of 650 pounds per square inch, while their retractable claws can extend up to 1.5 inches in length. Lions are opportunistic hunters with exceptional eyesight and hearing, making them formidable predators even in captivity. During feeding periods, their predatory instincts intensify significantly, triggering heightened aggression toward any perceived threats or unusual movements. Male lions are particularly territorial and will attack anything they perceive as competition or intrusion into their domain. Emily's fatal mistake began when she climbed over the outer safety barrier, ignoring the multiple warning signs posted around the enclosure. She squeezed through the partially open maintenance gate, entering the lions' territory during their most dangerous period. The 380-pound male lion immediately noticed her presence, approaching with cautious curiosity as Emily attempted to film a selfie video with her phone. She moved deeper into the enclosure, seeking better lighting for her shot. The attack commenced when Emily's sudden movements and the bright camera flash triggered the male lion's predatory response. The massive cat pounced without warning, his 420-pound frame slamming into Emily's chest and knocking her violently to the ground. Her phone flew 15 feet away, continuing to record the horrific scene. The male lion's powerful jaws clamped down on Emily's neck, his 4-inch canine teeth puncturing her carotid artery and crushing her trachea. Emily's body convulsed as the lion shook his head violently, tearing through muscle and cartilage with devastating force. Within seconds, the 2 female lions joined the attack, drawn by Emily's blood and the male's aggressive behavior. The first female bit down on Emily's left arm, her teeth crushing through the radius and ulna bones with audible snapping sounds. The second female attacked Emily's torso, her claws raking across the abdomen and puncturing the intestinal wall. Emily's white safari shirt turned crimson as arterial blood sprayed across the enclosure's sandy floor in expanding pools. The male lion maintained his death grip on Emily's neck, while the females continued their assault on her limbs and torso. Emily's body went limp after 90 seconds, as massive blood loss from her severed carotid artery caused rapid unconsciousness. The lions continued their attack for another 2 minutes, inflicting additional puncture wounds to her chest cavity and crushing several ribs. Emily Cross died from exsanguination and traumatic asphyxiation within 4 minutes of entering the enclosure. Sanctuary staff discovered Emily's body 20 minutes later during the scheduled feeding. The South African Police Service launched an investigation into the incident, citing negligence in security protocols. Emily's family released a brief statement requesting privacy while expressing their devastation over the preventable tragedy. The sanctuary temporarily closed its operations pending a full safety review. Local media coverage coverage sparked debates about social media culture and wildlife tourism safety standards. Emily Cross's story was a tragic reminder of how quickly viral fame can turn deadly. For Damon Whitaker, it wasn't captive predators he was seeking, but wild grizzly bears in Montana. It was September 8, 2016, in the remote backcountry of Glacier National Park, Montana. The 1.5 million acre wilderness stretched across the Continental Divide, home to over 300 grizzly bears during peak salmon season. Damon had established his campsite near McDonald Creek, just 2 miles from the park's most active bear feeding grounds, where Chinook salmon spawned in massive numbers each fall. The area's dense forest canopy and rushing water created perfect cover for both predator and prey. Damon Whitaker, a 28-year-old wilderness survival blogger from Denver, Colorado, had arrived at Glacier 3 weeks earlier to film his most ambitious project yet. With 1,000 YouTube subscribers following his extreme survival content, Damon commanded significant sponsorship deals and brand partnerships. His background as a former park ranger at Rocky Mountain National Park had given him extensive wildlife knowledge, but his transition to full-time content creation had inflated his confidence to dangerous levels. Damon's personality combined genuine outdoor expertise with fatal overconfidence, believing his ranger experience made him invincible against any wilderness threat. He had specifically chosen Glacier's grizzly habitat for his 30 Days Alone in Bear Country series, promising subscribers the most authentic wilderness experience ever filmed. His previous expeditions included surviving Arctic conditions in Alaska and navigating Amazon rainforests, each video garnering millions of views and reinforcing his belief in his own invincibility. The timing of Damon's expedition coincided with peak grizzly activity as bears prepared for winter hibernation. September marked the crucial hyperphagia period when grizzlies consume up to 20,000 calories daily, making them extremely aggressive around food sources. Damon had deliberately positioned his camp near McDonald Creek's salmon runs, ignoring park regulations about minimum distance requirements. His fatal decision to store food improperly was motivated by his desire to create authentic wilderness content, believing proper bear proofing would diminish the raw experience his audience craved. Grizzly bears are North America's apex predators, with adult females weighing 290 to 400 pounds and males reaching up to 790 pounds. These massive omnivores can sprint at speeds exceeding 35 miles per hour and possess a bite force of 975 pounds per square inch. Their 4-inch claws are perfectly designed for digging and tearing, while their exceptional sense of smell can detect food sources from over 18 miles away. During hyperphagia, grizzlies become extremely territorial and aggressive, particularly protective mothers with cubs who view any human presence as a direct threat to their offspring's survival. On the morning of September 8th, a 380-pound female grizzly with 2 yearling cubs approached Damon's campsite, drawn by the scent of improperly stored salmon he had caught the previous evening. Damon spotted the family group from 100 yards away and made his fatal mistake by approaching within 20 feet while filming, believing his ranger experience would allow him to safely observe and document their behavior. The mother bear immediately recognized Damon as a threat to her cubs and assumed an aggressive posture with ears flattened and hackles raised. The attack began when the sow charged at 30 miles per hour, covering the distance to Damon in less than 2 seconds. Her 380-pound frame slammed into his chest with devastating force, launching him backward into a fallen log with bone-crushing impact. Damon's camera continued recording from its tripod position as the bear's massive paws pinned him to the ground. The grizzly's first bite targeted Damon's skull, her powerful jaws crushing through his temporal bone and penetrating brain tissue. The distinctive cracking sound of fracturing bone echoed through the forest as cerebrospinal fluid began leaking from the massive head wound. The bear's 4-inch claws raked across Damon's chest and abdomen, tearing through his heavy jacket and puncturing his lung cavity. Each swipe opened deep lacerations that exposed underlying muscle and bone structure. The grizzly's second bite clamped down on Damon's neck and shoulder, crushing his clavicle and severing major blood vessels. Arterial blood sprayed in pulsing streams as the bear shook her massive head, further destroying tissue and bone. Damon's body went into shock within 90 seconds as massive blood loss and traumatic brain injury caused rapid unconsciousness. The protective mother bear continued her assault for another 3 minutes, delivering crushing bites to his torso that fractured multiple ribs and punctured vital organs. She returned twice more to ensure the threat was eliminated, inflicting additional facial trauma that rendered Damon unrecognizable. Death occurred from massive head trauma combined with exsanguination within 6 minutes of the initial charge. Park rangers discovered Damon's remains 4 days later after his emergency beacon activated. The National Park Service launched a comprehensive investigation investigation into the incident, ultimately citing multiple safety violations in Damon's campsite setup. His family released a statement honoring his passion for wilderness education while acknowledging the preventable nature of his death. The incident sparked renewed debates about social media influencers operating in protected wilderness areas without proper permits or safety protocols. Damon Whitaker's story demonstrated how overconfidence can be fatal in grizzly territory. For Jade Holloway, it wasn't mountains, but Florida's Everglades where ancient predators waited. It was June 22, 2018, in the remote wetlands of Everglades National Park, Florida. The 1.5 million acre wilderness contained over 200 freshwater and brackish waterways, home to an estimated 200,000 American alligators. Jade had chosen a secluded section of the Anhinga Trail, where cypress trees created dramatic silhouettes against the setting sun. The area's shallow waters and abundant wildlife made it a photographer's paradise, but also one of the park's most dangerous zones for human alligator encounters. Jade Holloway, a 25-year-old Instagram fitness model from Miami, had built her following through exotic location photo shoots that pushed safety boundaries. With 3,000 followers obsessing over her perfectly curated feed, Jade commanded lucrative sponsorship deals with major fitness and swimwear brands. Her background as a former personal trainer had given her exceptional physical conditioning, but her transition to full-time influencing had developed a dangerous obsession with creating increasingly dramatic content. Jade's personality combined vanity with reckless ambition, consistently dismissing safety warnings in pursuit of the perfect shot. She had specifically chosen the Everglades for a sunset bikini series, believing the dangerous backdrop would generate maximum engagement. Her boyfriend Ethan McAllister, a 27-year-old professional photographer, had reluctantly agreed to accompany her, despite serious reservations about the location's safety. The couple arrived at their chosen spot during golden hour when lighting conditions were optimal for photography. Ethan had researched the area extensively and repeatedly warned Jade about the high concentration of large alligators in these particular waters. Multiple park signs clearly stated the dangers of entering any water body within the Everglades, but Jade dismissed these warnings as overly cautious government regulations. American alligators are apex predators that can reach lengths of 14 feet and weights exceeding 1,000 pounds. These ancient reptiles possess a bite force of 2,980 pounds per square inch, among the strongest recorded in the animal kingdom. Their powerful tails serve as both propulsion and weapons, capable of delivering bone-crushing blows. Alligators are ambush predators with exceptional patience, often remaining motionless for hours before striking with lightning speed. During summer months, their metabolism peaks, making them extremely aggressive hunters actively seeking prey in shallow waters. Jade's fatal mistake began when she waded waist-deep into the murky swamp water, ignoring Ethan's increasingly frantic protests from the shoreline. She moved deeper into the water, seeking more dramatic angles, unaware that a 12-foot male alligator had been tracking her movements from 30 yards away. The massive reptile approached underwater with only its eyes and nostrils visible above the surface, perfectly camouflaged among floating vegetation. The attack commenced without warning as the 600-pound alligator exploded from the water with devastating speed. Its massive jaws clamped down on Jade's legs and pelvis with crushing force, the distinctive sound of breaking bones echoing across the swamp. Jade's screams pierced the evening air as the alligator's 80 razor-sharp teeth punctured through muscle and bone, creating deep lacerations that immediately began hemorrhaging blood into the dark water. The alligator initiated its signature death roll, a violent spinning motion designed to disorient prey and cause massive trauma. Jade's body was twisted and rotated with tremendous force as the reptile performed 3 complete rotations, fracturing her pelvis, femur, and several ribs. The spinning motion created a crimson whirlpool in the water as arterial blood poured from multiple puncture wounds. Each rotation drove the alligator's teeth deeper into Jade's tissue, crushing internal organs and severing major blood vessels. After completing the death roll, the alligator dragged Jade toward deeper water while maintaining its crushing grip on her lower body. Her desperate attempts to stay afloat became increasingly weak as massive blood loss and shock began shutting down her vital systems. The alligator's powerful tail thrashed violently, creating waves that pushed Jade's head underwater repeatedly. Water filled her punctured lungs as she struggled to breathe through the pain and trauma. Jade's movements became erratic and uncoordinated as her body entered the final stages of shock. The alligator continued dragging her toward its underwater lair, a behavior known as the death roll cache, where prey is stored for later consumption. Jade's head disappeared beneath the surface for the final time as the massive reptile pulled her into water over 8 feet deep. Death occurred from a combination of massive blood loss, internal trauma, and drowning within 4 minutes of the the initial attack. Ethan remained helpless on the shoreline, unable to enter the water without becoming a second victim. Emergency responders arrived within 20 minutes but could only recover Jade's body after wildlife officials safely removed the aggressive alligator from the area. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission launched an investigation into the incident, ultimately ruling it a preventable tragedy caused by ignoring established safety protocols. Jade's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the Park Service, claiming inadequate warning signage, though the case was later dismissed. Jade Holloway's story revealed how paradise can turn deadly when predators are underestimated. For Ethan McAllister, it wasn't swamps, but South Africa's deep waters where apex predators waited. It was August 14, 2015, at Seal Island near Cape Town, South Africa. The rocky outcrop sat in the heart of False Bay, surrounded by some of the world's most shark-infested waters. The island's 60,000 Cape fur seals created a natural feeding ground that attracted massive great white sharks year-round. Ethan had booked with Apex Predator Tours, a company offering cage diving experiences just 200 meters from the seal colony. Ethan McAllister, a 26-year-old extreme sports YouTuber from San Diego, had built his channel around death-defying aquatic adventures. With 2,000 subscribers following his increasingly dangerous stunts, Ethan commanded significant sponsorship deals from action camera and extreme sports brands. His background as a former Hollywood stuntman had given him exceptional swimming skills and water confidence, but his transition to content creation had developed a fatal need to constantly escalate the danger level of his videos. Ethan's personality combined genuine adrenaline addiction with susceptibility to peer pressure, often making reckless decisions to impress his 3 college friends who had joined him for this South African adventure. He had specifically chosen Seal Island during peak shark season for his Ultimate Shark Week series, promising subscribers the most extreme shark encounter footage ever captured. The group had arrived at Seal Island during prime hunting hours when great whites were most active. Ethan's 3 friends remained safely inside the protective cage while he made his fatal decision to exit and swim freely among the circling predators. The dive master had explicitly warned against leaving the cage, but Ethan dismissed these safety protocols as overly cautious restrictions that would diminish his content's impact. Great white sharks are the ocean's apex predators, reaching lengths of 20 feet and weights exceeding 5,000 pounds. These ancient hunters possess rows of serrated teeth up to 3 inches long, designed to slice through flesh and bone with devastating efficiency. Their bite force reaches 4,000 pounds per square inch, capable of severing limbs in a single strike. Great whites can accelerate to 35 miles per hour in short bursts, launching themselves completely out of the water when attacking surface prey. Their exceptional electroreception allows them to detect the electrical fields generated by living creatures, making escape nearly impossible once they lock onto a target. Ethan's fatal mistake began when he exited the protective cage despite the dive master's frantic hand signals to return. An 18-foot female great white had been circling 20 feet below the cage, her massive form clearly visible in the crystal-clear water. Ethan swam directly toward the shark while filming with his waterproof camera, attempting to touch her dorsal fin for what he believed would be revolutionary footage. His erratic swimming movements and the electrical signals from his camera equipment triggered the shark's predatory instincts. The attack commenced when Ethan's flailing movements mimicked those of an injured seal, the great white's preferred prey. The massive shark accelerated upward from the depths at tremendous speed, her 18-foot frame cutting through the water like a torpedo. She struck Ethan from below with devastating force, her massive jaws clamping down on his left leg and hip with bone-crushing pressure. The impact launched both predator and victim toward the surface in an explosion of white water and blood. The great white's triangular teeth, each measuring over 2 inches, sliced through Ethan's wetsuit and penetrated deep into his thigh and pelvis. The initial bite severed his femoral artery, sending arterial blood streaming into the water in pulsing crimson clouds. Ethan's leg bones cracked audibly under the tremendous pressure as the shark's jaws compressed with 4,000 pounds of force per square inch. The predator's powerful head movements tore massive chunks of flesh from Ethan's lower body, exposing bone and muscle tissue. The great white released her initial grip and circled back for a second attack, drawn by the expanding blood cloud that now covered a 30-foot radius. Her second strike targeted Ethan's torso, massive jaws clamping down across his chest and abdomen. The shark's teeth punctured through his ribcage, collapsing both lungs and causing massive internal bleeding. A second great white, attracted by the commotion and blood, joined the feeding frenzy. The 16-foot male struck Ethan's already mangled lower body, his powerful bite completing the amputation of Ethan's left leg at the hip. The feeding continued for another 2 minutes as both sharks tore at Ethan Ethan's body, their powerful tails thrashing violently and creating a maelstrom of blood and foam. Death occurred from catastrophic blood loss and multiple organ failure within 5 minutes of the initial attack. The sharks eventually dispersed, leaving only fragments of wetsuit and equipment floating on the crimson surface. The dive boat crew recovered what remained of Ethan's body, using specialized equipment designed for shark attack recoveries. South African maritime authorities launched an investigation into the incident, ultimately citing multiple safety violations by both the tour operator and the victim. Ethan's family released a statement honoring his adventurous spirit while acknowledging the preventable nature of his death. Ethan McAllister's story demonstrated how ocean predators show no mercy to those who invade their domain. For Tessa Blake, it wasn't the depths, but the African savanna where massive giants waited. It was November 3rd, 2014, in the vast wilderness of Kruger National Park, South Africa. The 7,500 square mile reserve housed over 17,000 elephants, including numerous bull elephants in musth during peak mating season. Tessa had convinced her family to stop at a remote watering hole near Satara Camp, where a massive bull elephant had been drinking alone for the past hour. Park regulations required all visitors to remain inside vehicles at all times, with multiple warning signs posted throughout the reserve. Tessa Blake, a 24-year-old travel blogger from Portland, Oregon, had arrived in South Africa with her parents and younger sister for a graduation celebration safari. With 4,000 Instagram followers captivated by her fearless wildlife photography, Tessa had built her brand around close-up encounters with dangerous animals across 6 continents. Her background as a recent college graduate with a degree in environmental science had given her theoretical knowledge about wildlife behavior, but her naive personality consistently underestimated real-world dangers. Tessa's thrill-seeking nature and dismissive attitude towards safety warnings had created increasing tension with her family throughout their 2-week African adventure. She had specifically requested this remote section of Kruger for its reputation as having the most aggressive elephant populations, believing dramatic close-up shots would set her content apart from typical safari photography. The Blake family had been observing the bull elephant from their Land Rover for 20 minutes when Tessa made her fatal decision. The massive animal displayed clear signs of musth, including temporal gland secretions and aggressive posturing toward their vehicle. Their experienced guide had warned the family multiple times about the extreme danger posed by bulls in this condition, but Tessa viewed these warnings as obstacles to her content creation. African elephants are the largest land mammals, with bulls weighing up to 13,000 pounds and standing 13 feet tall. These intelligent giants possess tremendous strength, capable of uprooting trees and crushing vehicles with ease. Their trunks contain over 40,000 muscles and can lift objects weighing 770 pounds. During musth, bull elephants experience a surge in testosterone levels up to 60 times normal, making them extremely aggressive and unpredictable. Bulls in musth will attack anything they perceive as a threat, using their massive size and 6-ton weight as devastating weapons against intruders. Tessa's fatal mistake began when she quietly exited the Land Rover while her family was distracted by the guide's explanation of elephant behavior. She approached within 25 feet of the bull elephant, believing her environmental science background gave her special insight into animal behavior. The massive bull immediately noticed her presence and began displaying aggressive warning behaviors, including ear flapping, trunk swinging, and mock charges that Tessa completely misinterpreted as photogenic poses. The attack commenced when the 6-ton bull elephant decided Tessa posed a genuine threat to his territory. He charged at 25 miles per hour, his massive frame thundering across the dusty ground with earth-shaking force. Tessa attempted to run back toward the vehicle, but covered less than 10 feet before the elephant's trunk wrapped around her torso, lifting her 8 feet off the ground with crushing pressure. Her ribs cracked audibly under the tremendous force as the elephant's trunk compressed her chest cavity. The bull elephant slammed Tessa to the ground with devastating impact, her body hitting the hard-packed earth with bone-shattering force. Multiple vertebrae fractured on impact as her spine compressed under the tremendous pressure. The elephant immediately began trampling her with his massive front feet, each weighing over 2,000 pounds. The first stomp crushed Tessa's pelvis and left femur, the distinctive sound of breaking bones echoing across the savanna as fragments of shattered bone punctured internal organs. The elephant's second stomp targeted Tessa's chest and head, his enormous foot completely covering her upper torso. Her ribcage collapsed under the immense pressure, puncturing both lungs and causing massive internal bleeding. The crushing force compressed her skull, fracturing the temporal and parietal bones while causing severe brain trauma. Blood poured from her nose, ears, and mouth as cerebrospinal fluid leaked from the massive head injuries. The bull elephant continued his assault for another 30 seconds, delivering additional crushing blows to ensure the threat was eliminated. Each stomp caused further destruction to Tessa's already mangled body, pulverizing bones and organs beyond recognition. Death occurred instantaneously from massive blunt force trauma and complete organ failure. Park rangers arrived within 15 minutes but could only observe from a safe distance until the aggressive bull moved away from the scene. South African national parks launched a comprehensive investigation into the incident, ultimately ruling it a preventable tragedy caused by the violation of established safety protocols. Tessa's family released a heartbroken statement acknowledging her passion for wildlife while emphasizing the importance of respecting park regulations. Just when you think you've heard the most horrifying attacks, click the next video for more deadly encounters that will leave you speechless.